Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. Happy Tuesday. Today is November 21st. Just what? One more day until the best season of them all, cosmically, as far as I'm concerned. That's right, Sagittarius season. You are correct. No, I have an affinity for many other signs other than Sagittarius, but I tell you one thing for sure, I wouldn't dream to be anything else but. So I feel quite blessed to be in that number of luck and wonder and philosophy and all those things. But we got a day or so. So let me pump my brakes. It's still Scorpio season technically, which, as I said, I have an affinity for, as well as my son is a Scorpio, and I also have I have, what is it that I have? Jupiter in Scorpio. So, if you haven't heard me say it before, sometimes I almost feel just as much like a Scorpio as I am a Sagittarius, because those synergies kind of, Jupiter just expands wherever it goes, But, still at heart, Sagittarius is my affinity, and Libra probably second to that, because I have a Libra moon and rising and a whole bunch of other Libra energy in my chart. So anyway, enough about me. My Yogi Tea Bag says, you can measure the love you bring to each day by the joy you experience in each moment. I think I've had that before, but I don't remember connecting with it this way. But it feels familiar. So you can measure the love you bring to each day by the joy you experience in each moment. Oh, that's even slowing it down. So not just one day at a time, but one moment at a time. How about that? All right, so let's see. I probably shouldn't cut the cards one more time, but I will. Let's see what we got. Oh, shit. Why did I do it? I don't know why I do it. Three of Swords. Not to mention the fact that I shuffled these cards for so long and cut them so many times before I even got on here. I only cut them on camera for you. So you're welcome. See what you did. No, I'm just joking. So Three of Swords can definitely be, okay. So it can be generally what we say is heartbreak. It could be some unfavorable experience that has really, when you see the Three of Swords, is something that has already transpired, that one has had the opportunity or has the opportunity to heal from. So that's the upside of it all, that this is not necessarily per se something that is happening in the future, or hopefully not even in the present moment, but perhaps it's the prevalence of something that has already occurred, maybe even the residue of what has occurred. I also call out trauma and toxicity and cycles such as that when I see the Three of Swords. So it could actually be the healing of such an experience or experiences. Let's see where it goes. But what did the thing say again? Oh, it's about the love you bring to each day by the joy you experience in each moment. So maybe perhaps this is someone that's getting over a cycle of trauma and is finding a new way to appreciate life. Maybe because a lot of times when we are even accustomed to living in a cycle such as this, where we always seem to have a reoccurring experience of heartbreak or disappointment, or toxic relationships, a a misfire in love, or an imbalance in relationships or in love in some way, shape, or form, a lack of reciprocation in some way, it often can leave a stain. As I said, it can leave a residue, and you could almost, even when it's done, and you thought you've even healed from the brunt of it all, sometimes there can still be some things that we allow to linger that don't necessarily do so on the surface of our lives, but somehow impede on our overall experience, like quality of experience, by way of even this tea bag, like almost having to retrain yourself to find value, like I said, one day at a time type of thing, because you've been through so much. And it's like even slowing it down, more steady than that, to finding the joy in each solitary moment along your journey, even in the midst of healing, perhaps, if that still is a thing. And for most of us, to some degree, it is, whether we acknowledge it or not. And in the intention of moving forward beyond experiences such as this and not wanting to recreate, it's those new habits that we form of self-love, the very opposite of this, the higher octave of this, love and self, and realizing how we get to take a new accountability and responsibility for our own love force, protecting it and projecting it. So not to create those experiences, or at least to avert them as much as possible, but also to be very much more intentional about creating what we do desire to have, and not even as much as the not creating the old, but putting more of our energy into creating what is favorable. And that does absolutely call for a training of the mind, and almost like throughout the healing process, almost a filtering of your emotional and psychological energy to release those things that are not even any more valid or relevant in this moment than you want them to be for the future. And then to also almost to introduce altogether new methods and mindsets and habits that would support more of the you that is intentional about a love vibration, or experiencing it, expressing it, and receiving it, if that makes sense. So, and it comes within those moment to moment engagements, not as healing and as life in general does, as like I said, one day at a time, but one moment at a time. Like literally right now it's storming. We're getting that northeast rain that is snow in other places, but it's rain here, and it's going to rain all day, and there's no sunshine in sight. And that could be the expression of it, or the reception of the conditions in one regard. But for me personally, I ain't mad at the rain, because number one, I don't have anywhere that I have to go in this moment. I have everything I need in my home at this time, because I did run out and do what I needed to do yesterday, but also because I know that the rain is purifying. I know that it's nurturing and nourishing in ways that may seem inconvenient in one regard, but very necessary in another. So at this moment in time, where of course I would definitely be more enlightened by the rays of the sun, definitely will put more of a smile on my face, I'm also very clear to appreciate this moment of cloudiness and of rain, storm, even not even just that it's nourishing the ground that I'm standing on, that I'm on right now, but also to reflect the reality that at least it's not snow. Some places are actually getting snow right now, and I'm sure that's not so favorable either, and people are trying to travel for the holidays and stuff like that, and they've already been talking about potential delays. So it's just about really just appreciating the moment and finding the light of it, as much of the light in it, even when there's no light in sight, but finding as much of the light in that moment as you possibly can. And those small moments of gratitude ultimately build into a healed perspective of life overall. Because if you can find the joy in the smallest things, by God, you can definitely store that up for when you really need a big one. You really need your what do you call it? That Sagittarius spirit of optimism to take over. So yeah, there's that. And certainly with just one card on the bottom of the deck, I don't even know if that is going to carry the whole reading, but for whatever reason, I felt like I needed to get it out. So there it was. Too many. All right, let's see what else we got. I'll try to keep it short today. How about that? Like, you're right, girl. You done just already did a whole monologue off your tea bag and off the Three of Swords, which you just could have left that heartbreak. So yeah, we believe you. Oh shoot, you right, but I'ma try. And here we freaking go, right? Five of Swords, let's get a couple out, and that was the Tower card. Competition may be actually coming to a sudden halt, or competition is experiencing some great, like I hear like the competition is experiencing competition, like I don't know. With the Tower card, it's like something, the brakes got pumped on something, or is about to. Let's see. Can I get a little something more on this Five of Wands? Five is change. I'm not taking that, but that was the Six of Wands. So somebody's coming out unscathed or coming out victorious from whatever that is. Perhaps on the other side of that tower was supposed to be a complete dismantling for all. Wasn't, at least for one, maybe. Let's see. Yeah, I'll take that. 3. Yep, we got the investment. So somebody invested in a competition, and I'm feeling like it didn't quite yield the results they were looking for. Hangman. They invested in, what it all also is with the Five of Wands, it's also very ego driven. Like, I just heard egomaniac. Ooh, interesting. And maybe that was the reason, because they say like when you're doing the same thing over and over but expecting a different result. The Seven of Pentacles is somebody that definitely is insistent and persistent in sowing, investing in whatever they're anticipating some harvest from or return of. And in this regard, it's like there was a continuous investment in some group situation, or it's given me just a risky investment. It could have definitely been investment with certain energies, like actual people, or it could have been in those energies, or it could have been the collaborative effort of working together, and that was the risky business itself, of getting into alignment with a certain type of people, maybe those that are also very ego driven as well. Highly competitive. I just heard corrupt in some regard. That was the risk of the investment, and it was like perhaps even taking multiple chances on something that was supposed to yield a return, but it didn't, because it did, but it didn't yield what was expected. And with the tower moment, it's also given me that not only did it not yield what was expected, but it's also dismantled at this point in time. Like, it's not, if it were up to him, he'd probably still be sowing, because that's what he was willing to do. So it's almost like, yeah, with the hangman here, he would have continued to continue, to keep adding energy into whatever this is. Like I said, insanity, the egomaniac, like his ego was driving him, like, no, this has to work, this has to yield something, maybe because it did in some, like I said, in some way or shape or form before. But there were some signs and signals that it wasn't going to bring what was intended. He wanted the whole 7 from this crop, and still only has yielded 1. Not to mention the fact that it's now the operation itself, or the opportunity, the unit, whatever it is with that tower card, is now, it's a heartbreak situation for real, with the 3 of Swords. Like, he's extremely disappointed by the lack of harvest at this point, given all that was invested. And now it's like, if he had if it was up to him, he would continue to still do it again, or try some more, or hang in there. But the tower makes it so that what you won't do for yourself, the universe will do for you through different circumstances and situations that you can't really get around. And you know, it's best that you steady yourself with a certain perspective. Like, yeah, find some enlightenment with the hangman here, stopping your tracks and wait to be enlightened to some degree as to how you get to rebuild from that leveling moment, because otherwise you may not survive the tower at all. Imagine someone so persistent that's now still trying to build on rubble, such as what the tower may leave behind, but someone that's willing to see, okay, well, this has been dismantled for a reason, kind of like gather themselves together and figure out the next best way to move ahead, has a much better chance of building something more firm and fortified in whatever the next phase gets to be than anything else. Than trying to continue on in the same vein that got shaken up in the first place, that got dismantled in the first place. So the Empress card, so it's the hangman. So whomever this is, they're kind of stuck, it seems to me, with that decision to make for themselves, whether or not they're going to still try to get back on the saddle, if they even can, literally hanging upside down, but to get back in the game in one way, shape, or form and try it again, or to allow themselves to be moved ahead. Now, I'm thinking about what the Empress card means here, and I'm really, the Empress is like high-powered, and with the Chariot, that's some type of like protection and also success moving forward. So it could imply that, okay, but then we got the 2 of Swords. I don't know, I'm a little thoughtful about this Empress based on all that I just said. Let me get a few more. Because I'm unclear as to how the Empress plays a part in this decision making, or in whatever this moving forward gets to be, which is definitely indicated here. Then that was the 2 of Cups. Is this a matter of it was a 6 of Swords moving forward? there's a Two of Cups again. Interesting. Right under the Empress. And here we are back to the Three of Swords. Let me see something here. I don't know. It doesn't seem like the Empress is someone, an energy in general that is unmatched. You know, it's like that's not something, you know, if you come across an Empress and you have the opportunity to connect with that energy, is virtually a no-brainer. You know what I mean? Like, it's not really much to contemplate unless you're in a space where your perception, such as one that would be an egomaniac, you know, that thinks that they're just God's gift in some way, shape, or form. Well, not in some way, shape, or form. Let's say in a lower vibrational shape or form, because it's okay, you are God's gift in the highest vibration, truly indeed. But that feels like that gives them some type of, you know, authority or pass to treat others unfairly or unkind or toxically, even in some regard. Remember, this is the energy that he chooses to associate with, even chooses to perhaps even invest in or invest his energy into. Perhaps even the conflict going on within his own self as to why he feels at home in such spaces as that, where it's just chaos and confusion. So that's the only barrier between, because I'm looking at this Two of Cups, that there was some offer or opportunity for connection here. And it seems that in that tower, there are two people, really more or less the masculine and the feminine, especially in this regard, falling out of that tower. So it's like somebody chose to build a foundation in a place where it was toxic. First of all, they built a foundation that started off in heartbreak in some way, shape, or form. Like, it never really showed itself to be anything less. Down here we got the Queen of Swords, who is emotionally detached by all accounts, very objective, a little bit cold-hearted, especially as a derivative from the Five of Swords. Like, she cuts the competition in half, not honorably so, but because she's the most cold-blooded of them all. That's what I'm feeling, literally cold-hearted of them all. And it's like somebody's disappointed because they chose to continuously invest. Like, this is somebody that invested everything, every inch of vitality that they had to give, even when being guided otherwise, into a relationship that never yielded any good fruit, especially not in comparison to what was sown. It's like planting a whole vineyard and only getting back one grape. Sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, and here he is hoping for, you know, trying to produce a wine from this field, from this vineyard, when he can't even get a grape, a ripe grape off of this vine that he's been, let's say he's been investing for, say, 7 years with that Seven of Pentacles. Maybe more, you know, could be less, but just get off of the number of, and Pentacles being time. 7 years, and out of 7 years is nothing but chaos, confusion, conflict, illusion, cold-heartedness, even with the Two of Cups, it still implies, or it can imply, that it's more so a contract and an agreement than it has to even be love. There could be some emotional interest here, or entanglement, dare I say, because I'm feeling more of that in this vibration anyway. But it doesn't have to be intimacy. Definitely doesn't have to be anything pure with the Two of Cups. It could even be two friends that decide, well, we could we could make some money together. Let's, or create something together, whatever the collective objective may be. The point is that they don't have to love each other. And in fact, with the Three of Swords coming up twice, to me, it says, like I said, it started with the Three of Swords. It started as something toxic, maybe a bit traumatic, like it had all the signs. There it is. It had all the signs of that potential, even if it didn't necessarily, maybe, of course, on the first date or the first encounter, you may not know all of what someone is capable of, or have the whole projection of what you're about to go through. But it's telling me that there were signs there. It was some familiar about the experience or the exchange that should have been a red flag for him not to invest his energy there, or at least not so intently or insistently. But for whatever reason, that was just completely ignored, bypassed. There was some other, he thought that this was an Empress situation, like he was investing in something that was of high value, or someone maybe even presented herself to be of high value. And it was like the illusion of that and its projection is what kept him all in, hoping that one day he would get the rewards, the benefits from his sowing. So he thought that his energy, here we go, the egomaniac, now I hear it. This guy, I can't, somehow thought, but I get it was a two-way glamour here, because she was putting on illusions, but he was also deluded to believe that his energy was high-powered and valuable enough that if he invested in her a certain type of way, he could almost make her into an Empress, even in ways in which maybe she fell short. Because it feels like she thought that she was, or at least she projected herself to be, and where he felt like he had the power or the resource or the time, the energy, he made the choice ultimately to invest in this project of sorts, this project of partnership, let's put it like that had already shown its potential at the very beginning, And it seems along the way, this coming up again continued to remind him of the product that he truly had, and he still continued to sow anyway. So, with the intention to have this great victory and success of the two of them pushing ahead in some victorious way on account of his, it's like he thought, oh, what is it? This is like almost annoying, this energy that I'm feeling from him, like, because it wasn't just about the material. Yeah, it was like, well, I can make you the Empress just on sight, given the appearance of someone. So maybe he had a lot of money, or money enough to boost the appearance of this feminine energy to make her look like the Empress, look the part, you know what I mean? But you couldn't, like I said, that's why I was saying that, because the Empress is one of a kind. Like there's no faking that. Eventually, even in the finest linens, the most expensive designers, the flyest shades, hair always done, nails always did, expensive shoes, fly ass car, like you could dress it up, but the Empress has a very distinct energetic signature. First of all, everything that she touches grows in some way, shape, or form. That means it could be nothing and it'll be grown into something by the time she's done with it. Just on impact, just in proximity, I would say. That's people, places, and things. So you could see the true nature. She's like infinitely fertile. That's the signature of the Empress. You could see the track record of a so-called Empress by what she leaves in her wake. Wherever she goes, does she leave that space, place, or person better than when she came? More prosperous, more productive, in better spirits, maybe even wealthier? What is the imprint of her presence? You can track that in real time, and even in reputation, in a practical sense. This is someone that I'm sensing, like I said, cold-hearted, Queen of Swords. This is her true nature that likes the competition, thrives off of it, probably incites it. Like I said, it ain't nothing to her because she'll chop everybody's head off, you know? So if that's the energy that's left, that's her signature, even with the best costume, it's still going to show itself to be true. Like that mask, that facade will eventually melt away, and people will be able to really, and they'll sense that vibration even through all of the layers, so to speak. So literally, it was just a poor investment from the very beginning. But everything and all the evidence was, all the projections were pointing to that reality. But for whatever reason, this guy thought that he somehow feeling some type of mastery in materials or in manipulation, perhaps, and maybe in illusions himself. What's the mastery here with the pentacles? I just get the sense that he felt like his energy he thought he was he thought he had Empress power. That's what he thought. As a masculine, but all the things that I just said, being able to kind of grow something from nothing, like he literally, but this is the ego of a person such as this, to feel inflated in their force in this way, to feel like if he was attached to it or attached to her or invested his energy and time into her, or maybe even just by association, that somehow that would maintain this facade and almost solidify it, you know, like I'm the emperor, but you see ain't no emperor on this board, right? But feeling like he's the emperor, so whomever he decides, like, ooh, this is interesting, whomever he decides to make the Empress is just as good as so, because they're standing next to him. And if he chooses to actually invest his time and energy into you, then it's just like, it's gold, you know, hands down. And the reason, this is why he kept getting dragged into reinvesting over and over again. It was almost like a gamble, like somebody that almost has like a gambling habit in some regard, but on people. Because it's like, you know, when you're a gambler, which is, mind you, the lower vibration of some Sagittarius energy, just to put that out there, since I was bigging up, you know, Sagittarius, we can also be gamblers. And, you know, if you're a gambler to the point of addiction or overindulgence, you can bait yourself into taking risk, as I said, like high risk, or making bets that just aren't favorable for you. Like the odds were never really in your favor, but just on the spirit of just feeling like, no, I know I got this. I know I got this. Some people say Sagittarius has blind optimism that's the gambling nature of us, that blind optimism that we're always going to win. That's the vitality of this energy here, but it's like you were never, the odds was always stacked against you to win in this vitality, because it was impure from the beginning. It was inauthentic, you know, it wasn't real. And it also clearly wasn't from any pure intention or motivation to have this victorious success, or one would just go and get a damn real empress. Like, why would you want to create something that isn't what it is? First of all, putting that energy into that type of pressure, not that she cared, but I'm just saying in general, like, to, as far as he was concerned, to put that energy through the type of pressure to try to be something that they're just not supposed to be, like anything outside of what they just are organically. And why would you take on that risk yourself to have the burden of a successful outcome in that regard with such terrible odds in the first place? It's like, what is lacking within you that you rather fake the funk, more or less, with a fake empress, or a makeshift empress, than to actually be in the vibrational match to more or less be in the vibrational frequency to attract one truly in a holistic form, one that is truly of that nature. Like, it's just toxic, and no wonder there's trauma here, because it started off in toxicity. The intention alone was toxic. It just doesn't make any sense. And when I went in earlier about all of the the invitations for healing, it's like, this clearly is at least one, if not two people, because why would you allow yourself to be thrown through the ringer, or even present yourself to be such that you're, it's just two people that are just toxic as hell, pretty much, that have healing to do, yet to do, and that have not been accepting or in agreement with the invitation to do so. They rather continue on in this three-ring circus, literally, continuing this cycle of sowing bullshit and reaping bullshit is what it comes down to, than to actually burn the field and replant the crop all over again, and within self first and foremost, right? Yeah, here's look at that. The Queen of Wands, King of Wands, two people that are creative, no doubt, and would, consider that this may be the actual energy of the two. Super creative, super powerful, but instead of them investing their energy into productive things, it's like mismanaged force, wasted talent, pretty much. And they're almost at odds when you kind of look at it in this regard. It's like, this is the competition here. It's okay. So it's like the ego was driven between the two of them, because for as much of an insistence and persistence that he placed on himself with the pressure to make the empress, is then as much of the same that she began to place on herself, or even push back in some regard, for wanting to fill those shoes and just not quite doing so holistically, like still falling short to some regard. So it's like they almost blamed each other. Like, he wasn't doing enough of his part to make this thing happen. And this is they both got wands in their hands, so this could have been even some dark energy at play between the two of them. Like, he was supposed to be bringing one half of the deal mystically to whatever this creativity was, if we can call it that in this form, this concoction of sorts was. And she was supposed to be bringing another energy. It's like, if I'm doing my part to make sure that you have all the resources and this, that, and the third to appear, you have to do your part. It's almost like she needed to fully become the role. She had all the costumes, she had all the production assistants, she had the set, she had everything was more or less like produced for her to be this empress. But it's like, it's still just someone being a character at the end of the day. And even when you're watching a movie or a play or a show, you can get lost in that fantasy or that story for a moment, but eventually when the credits start rolling, it's like, oh, that was just so and so playing the Empress. It's like you still, the back of your mind is still knowing, just like that current, that energetic current within you, it still knows the truth. So it's only but so much wool you can pull over somebody's eyes to just know that what they're looking at is a facade, and that's what it is. But it's like they continue to put pressure on one another to drive this point home, like that it wasn't a freaking, that the horror flick, the suspense thriller that was being viewed was actually some sort of like documentary or true life real story or some shit. You know what I mean? That was the projection. Like, y'all not just playing dress up. No, this is real. This is really like a reenactment of something. No, nobody's buying it. Okay. Because the Empress is the Empress for a reason. She has certain life experiences, tried and true, that make her the Empress. You don't just wake up one day and say, I'm the Empress. Yeah, like, look, this is Hangman. Out again, burden, because all this trying to get over, creating this master manipulative production of sorts, for whatever reason, now we've accelerated from the 5 to the 10, because all of that energy of competition between the two of them and whatever it is that they created even outside of them has now become a burden and completely this burdensome, and has depleted their energetic forces collectively and individually. Now we've gone from the 7 to the 5, balancing resources. And it's like, when all you had to do was keep it real, like work with what you got, be the Queen of Wands, be the King of Wands, tell that story, in that energy, you could literally create whatever you want to, but it is best empowered authentically than, otherwise it really is the difference between a documentary and a drama. Those are the two differences, something that actually is real life, true story, and something that is an enactment or altogether made up, or an adaptation of some other story, like based on a true story type of situation. That's the difference with the King and Queen of Wands. They had the opportunity to create in any regard, and there was success within the documentary to some degree. But like I said, eventually somebody's going to poke holes in the story, like, hold up. Somebody might go do their own research, like they said it's a true story. Or let me try to find, these characters. Let me try to find, Google them. Let me look for the records or the whatever. Like, people want receipts. It's always somebody out there that wants to know exactly the origins of the story that you are projecting. And that's why it's just best to just be real, because who wants to have to keep up, have to create a facade to keep up a facade? Like, that's what this energy is giving me. It was never going to work in this regard. It was always defeated before it really even started, because it wasn't authentic. It was just wasted talent. People that could have used their gifts and abilities otherwise to do something that would have been more lasting. That's why there's so much disappointment and despair and like almost literally heartbreak, because it's not like, first of all, the signs weren't there. Second of all, the facility and energy wasn't there. I mean, even the confidence was overinflated, that you could have placed that confidence in another investment and really done dividends on the dollar, like perhaps like I said, in an actual empress, if he had the eyes to even perceive one, because somebody so inflated as this that thinks that they are, you know, this is like misogyny. Like the empress is only the empress because of me type of thing, no matter who it is. And that almost nobody really is even good enough for him in the way that he views himself. So it's really comes down to whoever he chooses, you know, whoever he ordains to be the one is who it is anyway. So he could literally take a bum off the street and make them a star type of thing. Like, dude, you got to be kidding me. Well, that didn't age well now, did it? That's hilarious. A star is born, okay? Not made. Remember that. Yeah, he played himself with the Seven of Pentacles, Seven of Wands. Sorry, Seven of Swords. Temperance here, patience and balance. Trying to get over on perhaps taking the steady route, the real route with the Temperance card here. And look, ran right into so this is exactly what I said, like having the invitation perhaps and all this power, like I said, wasted potential. Having the invitation in spirit and in truth. Now look, this energy here is sitting over here just minding her business. And that was the thing. Pardon me. This is someone which this card with the Nine of Pentacles, I'm skipping over the fact that that energy more or less is almost identified as the pre-empress in some regards. You know, like she's one with the greatest empress potential in a very unassuming way. But look, she's blocked in this regard and that's why he went after more of the low-hanging fruit as I'm talking about the vineyard, right? Someone that don't mind being someone else. You know, this is not that. The Nine of Pentacles is somebody who's very authentic, very independent and secure in what she has. It may not be the 10, it may not be the ace. Hell, she ain't even tagged as the empress or even a queen in this card. And none of that matters because she's content with what she's acquired and achieved in her own right. That's authenticity. That's the essence of what an empress is made of. There was an opportunity, especially with the potential that he carries, power and passion alone, to connect with an authenticity such as this, someone in this frequency. But that was too high of a fruit for him to feel like. It's almost like, you know, someone with all this machismo felt almost emasculated to surrender to an energy such as this, or would have been too much of a challenge to that inflated ego to work with someone that actually knows who she is and may not even really need him as much. Look, she's at the 9, he's sitting at the 7. May not even really need him as much as he desires to feel needed. Not that there's not a synergy of support there between man and woman, but the way that his ego requires is probably a much taller order than someone that's more independent in an energy such as this. But remember, I said that 3 of Swords is toxicity, is trauma. So he went for energies that were a bit damaged in some regard, or at least that he thought were, you know, and clearly in this energy, there was some truth to it, at least, that could be molded or manipulated in a way that would be more gratifying for his vision. You know, like I said, he could take anything, the woman off the street, and almost impress upon that energy, that woman, that he was the prize, that he was the knight in shining armor, which you don't see even no knights on it. Well, other than the chariot is kind of that inflection. That he was even offering them some victory and success by way of his presence. Yeah, that's the energy here. Like, you know, some savior of sorts is what he projected himself to be, when really his intention was to find someone that was vulnerable or susceptible to their own insecurities so that he could impose upon that vulnerability and, like I said, just kind of have his way with them. What he didn't expect is to find someone perhaps just as as misogynistic as he is in a feminine form, that, in her own regard as a feminine, could really match his energy. Like he met his match ultimately. Somebody that was willing to put the pressure back on him just as much as he was putting the pressure on her, ultimately to be somebody and produce something, both of that wand energy, dueling energy in that regard, to be something that they're not, or making him stand up to the charge of the presentation that he gave of himself to actually fill that order, of which he was not really truly able to do holistically, because it was never a proper order in the first place, any more than this was a proper projection to ask of somebody to be an empress that really, even in her heart of hearts, didn't really want to be an empress. She maybe wanting all the thrills and deals that an empress, the perks of the empress. But like I said, that's a tried and true position. Not wanting to heal as the empress does, not wanting to be intentional and committed to fertility and productivity the way that the empress is. No, not wanting any of that responsibility, but just wanting to sit on that throne. So it was like literally a match made in hell. That yielded something at some point in time, but failed in the way of longevity, and anything that was truly nourishing or vital, in the long run. And that ultimately proved to be destructive, because like I said, here was the opportunity to have that balance and harmony. And he said, no. So it's like he took the energy of, I know exactly what this is. It's like he took the energy of someone that actually had, that's what they were, that's what was happening. Siphoning the energy from forces and sources that embodied that potential, that showed that great value, that showed that charge, taken from that and bringing it over into this fake ass shit going on here. But again, it doesn't work like that. Even if you dress it up, it still is not going to have the same signature, period. So everything that was done, literally sharing community, like sharing that community resource, deciding who gets what, exalting as some diplomat of sorts to give away energy that didn't even belong to him, so-called creating balance and fairness, moving in that facade, but it really wasn't that. It was just to be in control over people's prosperity and fortune in some regard, and spirit and in truth in some way. Because like I said, literally like taking somebody off the street and giving them a couple crumbs and almost exalting yourself as like the savior of society, when literally you were only given just enough so that you could get something back in return. Because as much as he would want to be the empress in that signature, even still with her not quite making the mark, she still is a feminine, which is not what he is. It's like he wished he could be a feminine to fully embody that charge on his own. That would be the ultimate dream. But alas, he is not. He has 3 legs. So there still is that, that lack even there in his own, his own biology, that he almost, and probably, and that's probably a bit of the resentment too, and the inflation of the ego, because he resents the power that a woman has, even in her lowest form, so-called, like off the street, there's still a certain embodiment of manifestation that a woman possesses that a masculine just can never have organically. I don't care how you splice it. It just is what it is of how we're designed. So that's a bit of the inflated ego and almost resentment, I would say, because he wishes that he could at least embody that power and discard the feminine altogether if he could. But at best, he's willing to use up as much of the energy as he can get his hands on. And however it suits him in the process is, good enough. But he didn't anticipate being used up just as much as he was a user. That was the script flipped here. As it is, when you're in the Seven of Swords energy, you end up falling on your own sword in some way, shape, or form, and now stuck with nothing to show for all that you've been doing. But I don't even know. But what? Like, let's see, one more row and I'm out of here. I know I said I wasn't going to do this, right? That was the Nine of Swords, but what? What's up under this last row here? We already know it was the one pentacle there, one measly grape. Let's see. Okay. Oh, no way. So I'm feeling like somebody then got away with all his investment. That's why I'm saying stuck with nothing to show for it, whether it be physically or just energetically. So it's like, remember I said with the tower, it's like that operation is shut down. So whatever he was able to do by way of this transference of, now he mad about it. This transference of energy, it's like somebody just took, acted like they were working in collaboration, but somebody just literally took all that he poured into them and left him with one little pentacle. So that's why I'm saying, like, if he even had, the Queen of Swords, even if she even left that much. Let's see. Yeah, struggling. That was the Two of Pentacles. So she might have left one, and he had one left on his own. That's three. I'll take it. Let's see here. Judgment. Wow, I'm going to go out on a limb and say even that is lost in some regard. Here that's him. Yeah, he was still holding on to whatever was left for as long as he could. King of Swords, the counterpart here, but yeah, look at that. If he had anything left materially, mentally and energetically, he is spent. That's his energy right there. A wounded warrior and almost PTSD, mentally, emotionally, energetically imbalanced from all that he invested himself in. And having no one else to really blame but himself if he's honest. Because like I said, the signs were all there. The handwriting was on the wall. Three of Swords was the beginning energy. And he still decided to move against his better judgment, move against his intuition, perhaps even, and invest and chose to, invest in his ego above all. Like, no, like, I know I can do this. I can make anybody into anything type of vibe. And it's like, yeah, and you did. It's like you succeeded. You gave her everything that you had. And it was successful to some degree. But in the end, if it's like she just took it all and ran, like maybe even became the damn star off of what you invested in her and left you in the dust. to fend for yourself. This is someone confused, dazed, like what the hell just happened here type of energy. What's this Queen of Cups with the Judgment though? Let me see. Because I'm seeing this Queen of Cups, and what I'm sensing, especially under the Five of Swords, I feel like she presented herself. Remember I said with the Two of Cups, it's like it started off one way where it didn't necessarily have to be love. It could have just been agreement. But somewhere within all of this establishment, she presented herself to actually have a loving investment, an emotional investment, and not being so stoic and so contractual as it appeared to be. And maybe that was the ultimate betrayal here as to how she got him to fully buy in to these shenanigans, because somehow, it's like energy though. It was some type of like glamour magic or love spell or something that she was able to engage him in or enchant him with. Manipulation, practically speaking, like she played on his heartstrings in some way, shape, or form, manipulated his emotional energy, his spiritual energy, even with the cups, to get him to miss the boat on his own enlightenment, as I see it here, just long enough for her to escape with everything that she was able to siphon off of him. So like literally all the things that they were able to do together, she took all of that plus his stuff. Like that's the energy I get. Like all of that plus his stuff, and just left him, I don't even know what state he truly is in right now. Let me just get two more on this bottom, because that's crazy. Nine of Swords again. Maybe that was the heartbreak, the Three of Swords that we came to. But let me see. Let me just get one or two more at the bottom here to just wrap this up, because it just feels a little bit open-ended to me with how the cards came out. Because somebody's crossing over here, but I don't get the sense that it's him. I feel like he's still stuck up here, hanging upside down, but what I wanted to get to is stuck how. And I just feel like it's in some, honestly, I just feel like it's like he's stuck in a dream world or something. What I'm feeling is that he's so dazed by the course of events, how things kind of really just turned over on him, and what he thought he was, how the master plan that he thought he had ended up becoming his master in some regard, that there's something illusional and delusional, not just about how it got to be done, because she worked something over him, which brought the hammer down. But it was also karmically designed as well with the Judgment card here. And the Temperance, is like it's all fair game as to why he's here, because he didn't listen to his spirit anyway. So he left himself vulnerable to being attacked and cornered in this, literally cornered here in this way. But the practical state that he's in is literally like, it's like somebody being a prisoner to their own delusions. It's like somewhere in his mind, like he's trapped in his own drama, but the production of it, like somebody that may actually be still feeling like they're still, like he still is this guy, that he propped himself up to be. this is real sad, but I'm gonna say it because it's how I feel it. It's like, and this could also be overindulgence, like drunk or overindulging in alcohol or drugs or something like that. But it's like he's trapped in this illusion in a sense. It's like somebody that you see on the street that is what's the right word, like inebriated or yeah, just inebriated to the point where they think that they're still their appearance is so that you can clearly tell that they're under some influence, you know, whether it be drugs, alcohol, it could even be spiritual influence because of the attachment that he made to this mess, right? And how he dismissed his own spiritual vitality. So like I said, left himself open and vulnerable to attack. So it's like somebody that's not in their right mind is ultimately how I'm trying to say it nicely, but somebody that's just walking around the streets, you know, perhaps even stuck in a time warp of their old heyday. You know those types of characters where it's interesting to watch, not because it's, you know, it's pleasant or anything, but it's like almost intriguing. Like this guy really thinks he is still freaking Sammy Davis Jr. or thinks he is Sammy Davis Jr. in some regard, but you can clearly see by them that they're disheveled or by their behaviors or, you know, whatever their appearance may be or their wellness, you know, whatever wellness you can detect from them, that something is not connected there. You know, like it's like he's stuck in the illusion that he created. So maybe he perhaps is still even projecting himself to have this certain power and authority and influence and impact in the way that he approaches everyday life. It's almost like he doesn't even realize how, oh man, like he doesn't realize how much he's in the sunken place. That's what it is. It's like he's in the sunken place spiritually. And oh man, I don't even think I can. Let me just get two more. Something has completely taken over his being at this point. And nothing but the spirit can pull him out of it. Let's see, what's that? Yeah, it's like, he's like having an outer body experience. It's like he's observing himself. Oh man, this is deep. Because it's like the reality of him is somewhere deep within there. Yeah, kind of like how the sunken place was, in a sense. It's like he can observe himself having fallen from the grace that he was conscious of, but having no conscious control over his projection or his direction. You know, it's like he knows in truth, somewhere in there is still him, you know, but he's almost like a passenger in his own body because something else dark with the moon card here has taken over. And it's the Seven of Cups because the true nature of him as he was when he started this is so deep buried into this illusion, as if it wasn't already with his inflated ego, but now on account of what he's connected himself to, it's like it's buried so deep that it's almost like, it's like impossible to find. It's not impossible because I don't want to project that onto anybody because the spirit is still here and judgment is still here, even though this is something karmic that's going on. but I dare not say it's hopeless, but as far as him finding it on his own, it almost is, because it is going to have to take a higher power to kind of pull him out of that dream world. Like something's going to have to pull him out. And I don't know how that gets to be. And then we got the Ace of Pentacles here. Some opportunity, but look, he's looking the opposite way from that. He's over here somewhere. And it's like, this is the opportunity, perhaps the harvest that he was looking for all along. Damn, this shit is deep. Here it is, but he's so cracked out, and I use that term with all due respect to anyone that has ever had that that dependency, but that's the best that I can say it. It's like energetically he is out of there. And this is in the sense that even if he's not necessarily to the point where he's literally roaming the streets, shuffling around, disheveled, smelling bad, really looking the part per se, energetically, he's so far off from the presence of the divine right now that he wouldn't recognize this golden coin falling from the sky if it hit him on the head at this point. There's something that still is like completely consuming his spiritual attention and like almost control. It's almost like she's controlling. Look, with the Queen of Cups, it's like and this may even be at a distance, like she may not even be in his life anymore, but because of the attachment that he agreed to here, it's almost like a spiritually transmitted demon or disease, but not necessarily a physical kind. It's more, like I said, it's spiritual. And perhaps Spirit has said enough is enough, and there is a separation here, and she can't like directly impact him anymore. But because of what she implanted in his force field is why he's having a hard time finding himself, and that it's going to have to take spiritual guidance and support to pull him out at this point. This could even be someone that's just so sad and depressed on account of what all has been gambled and lost at this point, that he may be practically just drinking himself into a stupor or into a daze, or self-medicating in some regard, where he literally just isn't coherent and in his highest mind because of how he's indulging. It could be that. And even that, and still, like, even in the practical sense, it doesn't have to be over the edge of literally just being completely incoherent, but it's still a sunken place in this regard, because whatever it is, there's a lack of self-control and control in general over the senses, even unto self-harming, like knowing that he's hurting himself, observing it, in his right mind, observing that he is not doing, he's going in the opposite way of what would be vital and nurturing and productive and prosperous, but not being able to help it at this point on account of what the energy and the vibration that has just consumed him. Literally having gone dark in some regard with the Seven of Cups. So, damn. I don't even know what to say about that. Sheesh. Yeah, just gotta be careful out here. And, and, healing is like the most important thing, we can be obsessed about. Like, that's the only thing that is worth being addicted to at this point in time, is your own healing and wholeness, like vitality at its most supreme frequency. That's something worth being obsessive about. I don't even think you could ever be too obsessive about overcoming those traumas and toxicities and fears and disappointments and all that energy that you can identify, plus all the stuff that you don't even know was there. That's what this is giving me also, is like he's been in this inflated identity for so long that now it's like it's almost hitting rock bottom, to the point where he's having to deal with the whole of himself, even the aspects of himself that were almost unknown, as to why he was behaving in that way in the first place. And that can be a daunting task when you've been more or less avoiding healing for so long, and kind of more or less like distracting yourself with other activities, particularly with the obsession of prosperity in some way, shape, or form, for so long that, healing just continues to get pushed to the back or pushed down, until eventually it has nowhere else to go but up. It's going to have to bubble to the surface at some point in time. Those wounds don't go away on their own for anybody, especially without acknowledgement, engagement, and some intentionality of addressing it, actually healing, remedying whatever the ailment may be, on the surface level, and certainly on a deeper level too. And it's given that there was some knowledge of something that was just a little bit off with that Three of Swords that came out twice, not just within himself, within the situation, but also within himself for choosing the situation. But again, it just continued to be ignored. And that's a lesson for us all, that, eventually it will catch up with you. It's better to do the hard work on the front end than have to get all the way, thinking you made some progress, only to go, start back at one and have to redo it all over again. I don't know. Well, messages have been real wacky lately. I don't know if it's just Scorpio season. I'm looking forward to, high vibe Sagittarius, if that means there will be, because it's like one day I'll get something really, really powerful and a little bit upbeat, which is what I prefer. And then the next day I get something like this, and it's like, where the heck is this coming from? This ain't me. You know what I mean? So why do I have to, I don't know. I don't know what the purpose is for me to express this at all, right about now, because the tribe that I feel most connected to may have been vulnerable to an energy such as this, and maybe that's the report that I'm getting, that this is the fate of those that you may have felt on the other, on the vulnerable end of. I don't know, but I don't even really wish to do that anymore. Honestly, I don't care. I really feel quite indifferent, because it's like, no matter what I say about that energy, it's still there's been nothing, there's been no upside. It just honestly keeps getting worse. Even every time I have a reading such as this, there's never any upside that I can connect to that says, okay, well, they got it. They got it, and they see, this is ending in the damn Seven of Cups. So it's like, this is somebody that's still confused, not only about how they got here, but what do they do now? And I don't know if I'm in the space and time to want to be anybody's guiding light out of such a vitality such as this, when all the warning signs have been there, all of them, from the inside out and from the outside in. So it's just like all I can, shift it to be is a word to the wise of us all, that, but for the grace of God, there go I, that we just continue to make decisions that are in integrity and in the highest frequency, and in that alignment with our supreme self as much as we can possibly help it. Not to say anybody's perfect, but that be our focus and our intention. Otherwise, I'm just like, okay, Ann, like, good luck to you. I hope the best for you. I hope that the fog clears, and the illusion dissipates and the delusion disseminates ultimately, and that if anything, you can find joy in every moment of this experience toward healing, because in the end, we all had that journey to take, and are still continuing on, with it, and still just now for many of us finding ourselves connecting to new ways of experiencing life that are less unfavorable than what we had before, reconditioning our perception of life and quality of life all over again. So it's like there's still too much energy needed to just focus on that than to be trying to reach back and encourage somebody, or let alone counsel somebody otherwise, that wasn't willing to be a yes to their own journey, honestly. So maybe that perhaps is a little bit of the sideline message for anyone that doesn't relate to this, is just to be mindful that this is definitely, I speak of the duality that's happening in real time, where someone is definitely experiencing living in a sunken place right now, disconnected from their spiritual vitality, or at least feeling that way. And some people may be reaching out for a helping hand, or a listening ear, or a shoulder to cry on, actually financial support, a couch to sleep on. Like, it could be any array of ways somebody could reach out, feeling now that they've lost so much and gained so little from their endeavors, and identifying you as a soft place to land. So be careful, especially during this spirit of Thanksgiving that's coming up, where you're going, who you're connecting with, who people could probably dress themselves up real nice for one day, just enough to let you feel, to make you think that they got it all together, just enough to reel you in for the kill, perhaps. And this could be family, friends, potential lovers, old lovers, new love, whatever the case may be. It could be a stranger on the street, literally, that could lure you into sharing their karmic experience that is exclusively for them. And that is quite contagious, just as much as your light and your joy and your love is contagious and infectious as well. Such is the same for the adverse energy, except 9 times out of 10, you'll have more to lose connecting with the other than it will have to lose connecting with you. So if there's anything that could be a direct message, is just to be careful, be mindful of what you're aligning with and socializing with and investing in at this time, because everything is not sweet out here in these streets. It just isn't. So, but you are, if you receive this to be so, you are definitely, if you don't connect with this, I'm sure you are sweet. So yeah, protect that vitality at all costs and unapologetically so. And enjoy it, enjoy yourself, truly. enjoy yourself. Okay? All right, I'm going to leave it there. Until next time, as always, I'll leave you with peace.